The alarm rang at 4:30 a.m. sharp. Ethan Ramirez rolled out of bed quietly, careful not to wake Jasmine. She slept peacefully, curled beneath their down comforter, the same one she insisted on getting from that high-end online store with custom stitching. "It's worth it," she had said. "We deserve nice things." He had nodded, just like he always did, because she deserved it, because the kids deserved it. So he picked up an extra job that month to make the cost disappear into the rest of their bills. By 5 o'clock a.m., he was on the freeway in his work van, eating a gas station breakfast sandwich with one hand and checking his schedule with the other. 5 commercial HVAC jobs across 2 counties. 2 of them emergency calls, one of them in a building with no elevator. He'd have to haul his gear up 4 flights. But Ethan didn't complain. This was his life. It was what a man does. His boots were worn, his shirts always stained, his fingernails permanently caked with the grime of labor. But the bills got paid, the lights stayed on, the mortgage was current. Barely. $1,800. Monthly mortgage. $550 car note for Jasmine's SUV. $380 groceries, which somehow never seemed enough. $150 cell phone bill, hers always upgraded before his. $1,000 credit card payments, mostly from online orders, beauty appointments, self-care that Jasmine said kept her sane. Ethan ran the numbers in his head constantly, even when he didn't mean to. He made around $6,000 a month, give or take, with overtime. What didn't go to bills went to savings, emergency fund, diapers, formula, preschool costs. He hadn't bought himself new clothes in over a year. His boots had holes in the soles. His back was in constant pain. But Jasmine? She got everything she asked for. She didn't have to work. Not once in their 8 years of marriage. When their son was born, she said she wanted to stay home and raise him herself, not daycare, not nannies. Ethan had agreed. He'd smiled, kissed her on the forehead, and picked up 2 more rotating weekend jobs. Then came their daughter. Then came the wine nights, the influencer obsession, the self-help podcasts, and the TikToks about wives living their soft life. She began talking less about family, more about finding herself. Ethan came home each night, bone-tired, shoulders sore from hauling industrial units through scorching attics, and found Jasmine curled on the couch, scrolling through Instagram reels with a glass of wine. The kids were fed, sure, but the house always looked like a storm had passed through, and somehow every day ended the same. "Can you just take them for a bit? I need a break." Ethan said nothing, just nodded, because that's what he did. One night, after laying the kids down and washing the last of the dishes, he found Jasmine sitting on the patio in her robe, phone screen lighting up her face. "Everything okay?" he asked gently. She didn't look up, just gave him a tired, "Yeah, just decompressing." He sat beside her. "I've been thinking," she said after a while. "I lost myself, Ethan. I gave up so much to be a mom, to be your wife. I used to be fun. I used to be somebody." Ethan stared out at the yard, the swing set he built with his bare hands, the grass he mowed every Sunday, the fence he patched himself. She said she gave everything up, but he gave everything he had. He lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling. The mortgage was due again next week. The fridge was nearly empty, and the woman beside him was asleep, dreaming of a life she believed he'd stolen. He never saw it that way, until now. It started with a laugh, not hers, but his wife's, yes. Yet, not the one he knew. Ethan had come home early from a job that got rescheduled due to a supplier delay. He didn't call ahead. He wanted to surprise Jasmine with lunch from her favorite Thai spot. Maybe they could eat together for once without chaos. Maybe they could reconnect. He parked the van, grabbed the takeout, and walked up the driveway with tired hope hanging on his shoulders. The front door was cracked open. Inside, he heard music playing softly from the kitchen Bluetooth speaker, and over it, laughter, high-pitched, playful, young. Not the kind of laugh she gave him anymore. He stepped inside. Jasmine was on her phone, seated at the kitchen island with a wine glass at noon. She didn't even notice him walk in. He stood there, quiet, until she finally looked up. "Oh, hey babe, you scared me." She locked the screen and tilted her head like he had interrupted something unimportant. "What are you doing home?" "Job got moved. Thought I'd bring you lunch." She smiled, but only with her mouth. "Aw, thanks." She got up and walked over to him. No hug, no kiss. Just took the bag, peeked inside, and said, "You remembered the peanut sauce this time." Ethan nodded. Her phone buzzed behind her. She didn't look, but he did. A name flashed for a second. Trayvon, barcode. He didn't say a word, just tucked the moment in the back of his mind like a sliver of glass in his chest. That night she mentioned it casually over dinner. "Me and the girls are going out Friday. We haven't had a night since Kayla's birthday." Ethan nodded. "Same crew?" "Yeah," she said, chewing slowly. "Maybe a few of their coworkers too. It's just a bar thing." "You know the kids are staying with your mom already Saturday, right?" She shrugged. "One night off won't kill me." Ethan let it pass, but the glass in his chest pressed deeper. That Friday, she came downstairs dressed like someone he didn't know anymore. Tight black dress, curled hair, lashes long, lips painted a deep cherry red, perfume that hadn't been opened in months. He looked up from feeding their daughter and paused. "You going out or walking a runway?" She laughed, grabbing her clutch. "Don't start." "I'm serious. I haven't seen you dress up like that since—" She waved it off. "I need this. It's just drinks. I'll be back before midnight." The door closed behind her, and with it the last breeze of familiarity. Ethan stood at the sink, hands in soap suds, watching her car back out of the driveway. He remembered the name on her phone. Trayvon, Barcode was a local nightclub. Popular, flashy, full of young energy and neon sweat. He'd never been, but she had. The next day, one of her friends posted a story. A boomerang clip from the club. The camera panned quickly, but for a split second, Ethan saw Jasmine in the corner, laughing, a man's arm around her shoulder, his face close to hers. Trayvon, the bouncer, tall, cut, neck tattoo barely hidden by a black dress shirt. She wasn't backing away, she was leaning in. The post vanished within 24 hours, but the damage didn't. That night, Ethan lay in bed beside a woman he couldn't afford to leave and could no longer trust, because leaving meant alimony. It meant child support for 2 young kids. It meant a split house, lawyer fees, and payments that would chain him for the rest of his life. So he stayed silent, but his silence wasn't peace. It was planning. Ethan woke up the next morning before the sun, not for work, for war. He ordered 3 discrete security cameras, motion-activated, Wi-Fi enabled, delivered to a locker at a hardware store 15 miles away. Jasmine was too nosy to risk shipping them home. He paid in cash. Later that evening, while she was bathing the kids upstairs, he set one up in the living room, blending it into the back corner of the bookshelf where it wouldn't be noticed. Another above the sliding patio door, tucked near the curtain rod, and the last, tucked behind the TV stand, angled perfectly to capture the front entryway. He synced them to his phone with encrypted cloud backup. No alerts, no sounds. Just watch and wait. Days turned to weeks. Jasmine's outings became more frequent. "The girls need another night. It's been so stressful lately. I deserve to feel alive again." Every time she looked more like the woman he used to dream about, and less like the wife who lived in his home. Ethan said nothing. He smiled, packed her gum and extra charger when she asked, kissed her on the cheek like he always had, and waited. Then came the night that broke him. She didn't know the cameras were watching when she returned home at 2:13 a.m. She stumbled in laughing. Not alone. Trayvon followed her in. Ethan watched the footage on mute, heart in his throat, as the man she met at Barcode wrapped his arm around her waist, spun her playfully in the living room, and lifted her up into a kiss. She giggled like a teenager, like the woman Ethan used to know. They stumbled into the bedroom. Ethan stopped the feed before they reached the door. He couldn't watch her betray him in the same bed where their son had been conceived. He didn't sleep, didn't cry, didn't scream. He sat on the couch, watching the shadows of the house move with the night, his phone clenched in a grip so tight his knuckles ached. At 7:06 a.m., Jasmine came downstairs in her robe. She smiled at him sleepily. "Hey, babe." He looked up. "How was your night?" "Uneventful. We mostly just talked. I needed it, though." He nodded, swallowing everything. She kissed him on the forehead, poured herself coffee, and scrolled Instagram while humming. Ethan stared at her, the actress, the liar, the woman who built her freedom on his back, and something inside him twisted. That evening, he checked the other camera feeds. There were more men. Not just Trayvon. Different nights, different voices, all of them familiar to her, none of them him. One man even brought wine. His wine. The one Ethan kept in the back cabinet for anniversaries. They toasted. They kissed. She laughed. The next morning, she asked Ethan to Venmo her $40 for groceries. He sent her $80, not out of love, out of spite. The office was cold, not physically, but sterile, soulless, like the kind of place where hope came in and bled out slowly. Ethan sat in a leather chair that squeaked every time he moved. He held a manila folder in his lap. Inside were screenshots, printouts, and a copy of the cloud footage burned to a disk. The door opened. Martin Feldman walked in with a legal pad and a forced smile. Bald, late 50s, too clean for the kind of truth Ethan carried. "Mr. Ramirez," he said, shaking hands. "What can I help you with?" Ethan wasted no time. "My wife is cheating, repeatedly. I have video, screenshots. Her friends know. I know. I need to know my options." Feldman listened, flipping through the evidence. He nodded, occasionally raising a brow, but never surprised. This wasn't new to him. Once the review ended, Feldman leaned back and laced his fingers. "You've been married how long?" 8 years. "Kids?" 2, ages 5 and 3. Feldman nodded. "Okay, here's the part you're not gonna like." The next 10 minutes felt like a blade being twisted, slowly, in Ethan's chest. It didn't matter that Jasmine cheated. It didn't matter that there were multiple men. It didn't matter that it happened in his house. Not in the eyes of the law. She was the primary caregiver. She hadn't worked in nearly a decade. She was financially dependent, which meant spousal support, child support, likely loss of the house, full custody to her, unless he could prove neglect, not infidelity. "So, you're telling me," Ethan said slowly, voice tightening, "that I pay every bill, I raise our kids, she fucks half the damn city while I'm at work, and I still have to pay her for the next 15 years? Feldman didn't flinch. "Unless you have a prenup. Yes, that's the reality. California law doesn't reward loyalty. It protects dependency." Ethan stared down at his hands. They were hands that bled and cracked through years of HVAC work. That cut through metal and hauled machines across rooftops in winter wind. That built cribs and swing sets and repaired the roof with nothing but sweat. And now, those same hands were supposed to sign checks so Jasmine could keep living her soft life in the ashes of the home he built. He left the office in silence, drove 2 blocks, parked in an alley behind a liquor store, and just sat for 2 hours, thinking. He thought about his children, their birthdays, their laughter, their tiny fingers wrapping around his own. He thought about Jasmine's lies, her smile when she kissed him after a night of cheating, the way she told him she sacrificed everything. He thought about how he was the one expected to stay silent, to pay up, to vanish politely while she lived in the house he broke his back to afford. The law wouldn't protect him, but maybe something else could. That night he sat beside her on the couch while she scrolled on her phone. He offered her a glass of wine. She took it, smiled. He smiled back. "I love you," she said lazily, without looking up. "I know," he replied. But behind his eyes, everything had already changed. Ethan began waking up with a calm that felt foreign. It wasn't peace, it was clarity. Every day that passed, he moved with the precision of a man handling fragile glass, quiet, deliberate, rehearsed. He began deleting old photos from his phone. He backed up essential files to a drive he kept in his tool bag. He made sure his will was updated, his insurance policy left to the kids, and that his affairs, at least on paper, were clean. There was no rush. This wasn't something to do angry. This was something to do right. And Jasmine's behavior didn't change. If anything, she grew bolder. She stopped coming home before 3 a.m. She started hiding less, deleting fewer texts. She even slipped once and called Ethan by another man's name during a dinner conversation. He didn't flinch, just smiled, passed her the salt, and stored the moment like a receipt in his mental file. She didn't realize the transaction was already happening. He was just waiting on the final payment. Then the moment came. A Friday, like always. The kids were with her sister for the weekend. Jasmine said she was going out with her friends. Ethan already knew better. He had the car's GPS pinging every 10 minutes. That evening, she did her makeup like she was meeting royalty. Hair curled, lashes thick, a new dress she didn't tell him she bought. She didn't even kiss him goodbye this time. "Don't wait up," she said from the door. "Wouldn't dream of it," he replied. As soon as she left, Ethan went to the closet. He opened the fireproof lockbox under the floorboard. Inside, birth certificates, insurance papers, backup cash, and the 9mm he bought 6 months earlier when burglaries spiked in their neighborhood. He'd only shot it once at a range. Didn't need to be a marksman, just decisive. He checked the chamber. Loaded. Quiet. Heavy. He sat at the dining room table with it for over an hour, watching old home videos on silent, birthday parties, bath time, lazy Saturday mornings. Jasmine looked so believable in them, so nurturing, so devoted. But now he knew. She wasn't acting in those videos. She was just fulfilled, in control, worshipped, taken care of. And once the thrill faded, so did her love. At 2:47 a.m., the garage opened. Ethan didn't move. He sat still as the key turned and the door creaked open. She walked in humming, heels in her hand, tipsy and glowing from someone else's attention. She froze when she saw him, sitting at the table, a glass of water beside the pistol. "Ethan?" she said, blinking. He looked up at her slowly. "You take what you want," he said softly. "You lie. You betray. You break a home I nearly died building, and you still think I'm going to let you walk away with it all?" Her eyes widened. "Ethan, let's talk." He stood. She backed up. He didn't shout, didn't run. He walked toward her like a man punching out after his last shift. One shot, chest. She collapsed instantly. No drama, no screams, just dead weight hitting tile. He stood over her for a long time. Tears welled in his eyes, but didn't fall. She didn't look beautiful anymore. Just finished. At 4:11 a.m., he pulled into the station parking lot. He walked in, empty-handed, sat on a bench near the vending machine. When the officer finally approached him, Ethan said the words like he was clocking out. "My wife's at home. She won't be needing any more of my paychecks." The headlines hit like a wave. Hard-working husband snaps, kills wife in family home. HVAC tech turns murderer after discovering wife's secret life. Tragedy in suburbia. Husband cites infidelity, financial ruin. Photos of Ethan in his work uniform ran across every news site. The same stoic, dust-covered man who fixed schools and hospitals was now painted in shades of red and black. Cable pundits debated his mental health. Podcasts argued whether he was a cold-blooded killer or a man crushed beneath the invisible weight of modern marriage. But those headlines didn't know the man, not like the kids did, not like the crew on Site 9 did. At the job site, no one said much, just shook their heads in silence. The foreman, who knew Ethan since they were both apprentices, whispered to one of the guys, "He never took a day off, not one, not even when his back went out." Another responded, "Maybe that was the problem." Jasmine's friends posted candlelight tributes online, black and white selfies with vague captions. "You deserved better." "Fly high, sis." None of them mentioned the bouncer, or the others. No one talked about the cheating. No one talked about the truth, only the aftermath. The court case moved quickly. The evidence was overwhelming. Ethan's confession was clean. No denial, no theatrics. He pled guilty without blinking. His lawyer argued for mental duress. The judge didn't budge. 30 years. No parole. At sentencing, the judge asked if he had anything to say. Ethan stood, hands steady, voice low but certain. They say love is patient, that it sacrifices, that it endures. I did all that. I gave her comfort. I gave her safety. I gave her every last piece of me. He paused. But the world she wanted? It didn't have room for a man like me. Silence followed. Even the reporters stopped typing. His children were moved out of state to live with Jasmine's sister. They were too young to understand what really happened. All they knew was that Daddy was gone. Forever. Years later, his son would grow up and Google the story. He'd read the articles, watch the coverage, hear both sides, and maybe, just maybe, he'd understand that his father didn't kill because of hate. He killed because the world doesn't protect men who give everything and still get left behind. The end.